Hey there, welcome back, everybody. Took a little break and kind of reset myself after getting back from the Appalachian Trail. And I've been asked several times what gear worked and what gear did work. So that's what we're going to cover in today's video. First off, I guess I'll cover the backpack, which was I started off with the Hyperlight Mountain Gear Wind Rider. And nothing went wrong with the pack. Nothing, absolutely nothing. My body changed and I lost weight, reducing my waist size, which in effect um, rendered the pack uncomfortable. The hip belt started cutting into me, and I was at the mercy of what the local outfitter had at that point in time, which I switched to the Osprey Rook 50. Uh, that pack Uh, it's an okay pack. It is rather heavy compared to the Hyperlight, coming in right at 4 pounds, according to what I weighed. And it's just not a comfortable pack to be wearing all day long for long periods of time. It is a beast as far as comfort with heavy weights. Again, I don't think it's a through hiking pack. So did it fail? No, but yeah, it's just not my first gear choice. So that's not really a fail, but something that really didn't work for me. Next up, we'll talk about the BRS 2000, which is my cook stove. It worked fine as long as there was no wind. It was very temperamental in the wind. I did find that out, and it wasn't something that I could mitigate by putting my food bag to block the wind or something else, or getting in a protected area. But if you're looking for something that's a little more reliable in the wind and you're going to be in constant wind conditions, I would recommend going with something else. But if that's something that you can tolerate, now it did. Don't get me wrong, it did cook my food, and it was just a little slower process when the wind was blowing. So for the price, it did great. But if I were to be in nonstop windy conditions for a long extended period of time, I think I would choose something else. Next up, we're going to talk about the insoles that I had in my shoes when I began my hike. I began the hike in Ultra Lone Peaks, the Ultra Lone Peak 6s. And inside, I did have the Super Feet Trail Blazers, Trail Version, whatever they are called. I don't remember right off the top of my head. I thought that they would work for me, being that I actually run with the Super Feet insoles in my running shoes. They did not. I started experiencing a lot of knee pain, ankle pain. Basically, from the knees down, everything was hurting pretty bad, and I could not figure out what was wrong. Beings that I never had knee pain in my entire life. So it I came to the conclusion that that was the last possible option, was the insoles, and I pulled them out, and sure enough, that alleviated the knee pain completely and significantly reduced everything lower than that. So that was an epic fail for me. I'm not saying they won't work for you, but for me, that piece of gear did not work. Um, that is not something that I'm going to put back in my shoes. So there you go. Another thing that kind of, I guess, failed for me would be my tent. And that is the Nemo Hornet Osmo 2P. It, just to be clear, that is an amazing tent. It's great. It's lightweight. It developed a couple of holes just in the lower portion of the sidewall right below the entry point. But I believe that is my fault, due to me getting in and out of the tent and there being some sharp objects underneath the tent that I was not aware of. The other thing is, I wish the rain fly would come down a little bit further on the foot area of the tent. Either that or the ventilation wall was a little higher. I did find that there was a little bit of moisture when the wind was whipping rain, get in and out of the tent and cause the foot box of my quilt to get a little damp. It was not unbearable. And I did try adjusting the tent fly into different positions to, I guess, eliminate that issue, but I did not really succeed. So, is it a fail? No, but yeah, it was an issue. And the holes in the sidewall were more than likely my fault. It was not like that out of the package. But all in all, still a great tent. The last thing I want to talk about that did not work for me is my footwear. That was a major, major issue. It started with the insoles, as I spoke before about, and those were in Lone Peaks. So I shipped the Lone Peaks home and bought a pair of Ultra Olympus. Very comfortable, very shock absorbent. They do have a very wide platform, but for me, they caused an extreme amount of Achilles issues. It was nagging at first, but then got progressively worse. I probably went about 200 to 300 miles with that pain, and it just got to be to where it was a little bit too much, and I was getting tired of hurting every day. So I actually bought the Hoka Speed Goats. I think it's the Speed Goat 5s, and that is the trade-off for a win in footwear compared to the fail for me, which was the Ultra Olympus. None of the gear that I actually chose to take on the hike with me actually failed, which is an amazing feat, I guess, if you will, as far as gear goes, because my luck, I tend to have a lot of stuff that breaks on me, but everything was great. I really have no complaints about the gear that I chose to bring with me. And if you watch the gear loadout video, which I'll link you to it, if that's something you're interested in about all the gear that I took with me on the roughly 627 miles that I did on the Appalachian Trail. Just watch the video and you can see for yourself. And I do believe I have all those products linked in that description on that video. There you have it. That is my fails and not so fails. Actually, none of it really failed. It's just issues that I either had with the gear and did not work for me personally, or just little, I guess, quirks about the gear that I was not a fan of. But anyway, have some great things planned in the future. And those should be coming up relatively quickly here. Like I said earlier, I just decided to take a little break and kind of gather my thoughts after getting back from the AT. That was an adventure that ended way too soon, but at least I'm able to hike in the future. I said that earlier. My adventures don't end. I chose to get off before I injured myself further. So there you have it. No real fails, but some stuff that did not work for me personally. But, you never know. They may work for you. Got some great things lined up and planned for the future. The channel is not going anywhere, and neither are my adventures. So stay tuned, ring that notification bell, and you'll know when I put out a new video. Stay tuned.